Sorry about that. I should have been closer over here. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to be here. I know I'm like finishing today up for you guys, and I'll get through my 4-hour presentation as fast as I can. It's got interpretive dancing. You're going to love it. So, no, I hope you guys opened up the bar already, because I get funnier if you guys drink. I'll be honest with you. And, you know, what an introduction, because I'll tell you what, when I first got here, what Kevin was saying he was going to do is going to come up here and say, hey, I'm going to say, what do you call a guy with no arms and legs in the ocean? Bob. He told me the joke, and I'm like, oh, I've heard that one. And I was like, kind of offensive, though. He goes, no. But then I'm going to say, what do you call a guy with no arms and legs on the wall? Art. And I'm like, no, I've heard all of them on a doorstep mat, you know, all that stuff. And he goes, yeah, but then I'm going to say, what do you call a guy with no arms and legs here today? Travis Mills. What's up, winners? How you guys doing? All right, so we can set the tone here. I like to open up with jokes, right? I think it makes it feel better. And with these bright lights on me, knowing you guys are all staring at me, I get a little bit nervous. And I'm always up here going like, man, I just hope I don't bomb this. You know, because last time, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. You guys are getting it. All right, good. So as we get, and you're supposed to laugh at my jokes, that's why I have them. But I always start my presentation kind of the same way in the opening, because I think it's important to set the tone. So the first thing about me, number one, right up front, that I want you to know about me is, number one, I'm awesome, okay? And number two is I'm humble. So in that order, I'm awesome, and then I'm humble. And I want to be friends with you. I want you guys to know stuff about me, right? I want you guys to feel comfortable sharing stories with me and tell me about yourself. So I'm going to open up with my biggest secret. My biggest secret that I keep, you know, and I tell only the special people in my life. And here it is. I don't wash my hands after I use the bathroom. I don't. I mean, I wash my hand, you know what I'm saying? But like, are you kidding me right, meow? I know. You think it hurts. It doesn't, I swear. You think it would, but it don't. I can go the other way, too. Well, what? You know, I tell jokes, you know, because I think it really helps disarm the situation. You know what I'm saying? And knee slapper, if you got them, but obviously I don't, so. But if you guys think it's funny, go ahead, by all means. You're not going to offend me. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, check this out. New year, new me, right? I woke up thinking, I'm going to have my arms and legs back. Turns out I didn't, so you still got me here. But you guys don't know this about me, because you're like, man, everybody's on his New Year's resolution of losing weight. And I did have a salad for lunch, you probably could tell. But I guarantee tonight when I go back to my room, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. It's this thing I started at my last job, falling apart. No, I walked into early retirement. It's no big deal. Okay, good. We're loosened up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get underway. Now that we can laugh and feel comfortable with me, let's get underway. On the screen right now, you're going to see my wonderful wife, Kelsey. And everything in this picture is, you know, going perfect in my life, right? Just got promoted to staff sergeant. We just bought a house, and our daughter was just born. So, and I want you guys to know right up front, I have the best wife in the world. No offense to the spouses in the room, right? Everybody's supposed to be married to the best person in the world. That's the whole point of getting married and loving that person. But my wife is number one. And how I know that is because when our daughter was born, right, 14 hours of labor, she was exhausted. I slept for most of it. But when I woke up and our daughter was born, and we thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to name this sweet little angel? We thought maybe it was going to be Avery or Madison. And my wife, with a heavy sigh, disgustedly looked at me and goes, ugh, we have to name her Chloe Lynn, don't we? And I said, no, we don't have to. What makes you think that? And she said, well, you're an idiot. And you already have your ex-girlfriend's name tattooed on your arm, which she wasn't wrong. So we named her Chloe Lynn. And that's not true. That's a lie. No, not true. My ex-girlfriend, her name's Michelle, and she is terrible. I mean, just like awful. We'll talk about her later, though, okay? We'll talk about her later, but she is absolutely terrible. So anyways, like I said, in this picture, everything's going my way. But let's start the story a little bit backwards, okay? All right, I'm from a very small town. Now, I know everybody's flown in and drove in and traveled in from all over. Is there anybody here potentially from Ohio? Anybody Ohio? Where? Okay, are you an Ohio State fan? In your face, I'm from Michigan. Go blue, baby. Go blue. Oh, thank God you were here. That got weird for a second. But I'm from Michigan, all right? On the top left of your screen, you will see my mom and dad's favorite day in their whole entire lives. That's April 14th, 1987, when their favorite child was born. You guessed it, me. And let me tell you what, you look at the pictures, I have an older sister and a younger brother, okay? Let me tell you the sequence of events. They had my sister first, and the doctor said, it's a girl. And my mom was like, crap. And my dad yelled at the doctor, not what we wanted. So back to the drawing board they went. When they had me, the doctors, the only thing they said when I was born was perfection. Only thing they get out of their mouth was perfection, perfection. My mom and dad were weeping, massive crocodile tears. And before the doctors handed me over to my parents, they held me to the ceiling. They put orange stuff on my forehead, held me to the ceiling, and they played the circle of life. Real Lion King moment, if you ask me. And then my parents got a little cocky on their winning streak, right? We all do that. Thought they could duplicate me. Had my brother, saw him for the first time, and they almost named him Daisy. Yeah, for whoops-a-daisy. That didn't go as planned, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, growing up in a small town, I played a lot of sports, right? Football, basketball, baseball. I did some powerlifting. I still hold a junior high shot put record, and then I made varsity sports, right? And let me tell you something. I mean, I made the varsity sports team. I was the captain of the football and baseball and basketball team. And like some in this room, like when I met Connor, like Connor Rabbi over here, Connor, raise your hand. When I met Connor, I knew we had so much in common. We're both good looking, you know? We're both astute businessmen, ag swag, you know what I'm saying? And we both peaked in high school. And you can just tell the best days are over for us. I mean, I loved high school. I had a hairline, no waistline, arms and legs. Oh my gosh. But check it out. I was a linebacker. I was number 5. I'd make tackles. I'd throw them to the ground. I'd get right in their face and be like, your mom and dad never wanted you. You know, I'd let them right here, get right in there. And then I'd run touchdowns. And you think this guy's going to tackle me, but let me tell you something. He ain't. You know, touchdown, Travis Mills. The crowd goes wild. Oh my God. I miss it so much. But anyways, after high school, right, I had a choice to play football or baseball at college. And I chose to go to a small community college and play football. And I played this brand new position, ladies and gentlemen, brand new. Because like in high school, kicker, punter, fullback, linebacker. And in college, I played the sideline. No, I was good at it. I know that because I was there all season. So like, just saying. But anyways, I was redshirted the first year. I played the first season. We won the national championship for the junior college league, which was cool. But during the end of the season, and I was in class one day, and the baseball coach came down and got me out of class. And he pulls me out. I was like, hey, Travis, I got your scouting report. You're an all-state catcher. Da-da-da-da. How come you're not playing baseball? I said, well, I play football. And he looked at me. He goes, I've been to the games. I was like, that's rude, but okay. Point taken. He said, hey, look, my starting catcher broke his shoulder. My backup transferred. He said, I got a starting spot for you if you want it. We'd love to have you. I said, man, that's awesome, coach. That's great news. I said, I'll let you know what I can do tomorrow. So I go back to my apartment, right, where I live 18 years old by myself, 2.5 hours away from my mom and dad's, like my hometown. And I call my girlfriend back home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Michelle, you're never going to guess what happened today. The baseball coach wants me to play baseball here. He's got a starting spot for me. And she was like, oh, that's awesome. And then she said, but I thought you were moving home for me. And I was dumbfounded. And I'm like, what? No, why would I do that? That's what I asked her. Why would I do that? And she said, because I love you. And I went, oh, right. I mean, that makes sense, right? So went back to the baseball coach. She said, hey, coach, I'd love to play, but I can't. I can move home with my girlfriend. She said she loves me, so, you know, I got to go. And he looked at me, and he was like, man, that is stupid. And I said, you're stupid. And I moved home. Yeah, and then 2 weeks after being home, by complete accident, I actually met her other boyfriend, Colin. So I joined the military and looked back at my life and like, how'd this happen? How'd I lose my arms and legs? It's her fault. Yeah, no, I'm like totally over it though. Like, I don't hold a grudge. I wouldn't do that. I will say though, if she fell down like a well or something, like, oh well. Anyway, so in truth, ladies and gentlemen, college wasn't my thing. I couldn't focus on the study. It wasn't what I wanted to do, so I went back home. And then I started talking to the recruiting stations, right? I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to do something. And I thought it would be a great way to have college paid for, but also be able to serve my country. And I had it narrowed down between the Army and the Marines. And I walked in this Marine recruiter's office, right, and 6'4", just bald-headed, barrel-chested behemoth of a man stands up. He puffs his chest out. He's like, "You want to be a Marine?" And I was like, bro, that's intense. He didn't like being called bro. I'll tell you that right now. Didn't like it. But I said, "I don't know. Tell me about it." He said, "I'll put you in a career field." And I went, "Man, that sounds pretty prestigious. Career field? At 18? Oh, man. Sounds amazing." So what's that mean? He said, "Well, if you pick a job you can't get or I can't get it for you, I'll put you somewhere else." And I was like, "You can't pick your job here?" I said, "Hold that thought." I went back across the hall. I went over to the Army's office. I said, "Hey, tell me about the Army, dude." He stands up and goes, "Bro, let me tell you something." I'm like, "Ooh, I like that. I like that." He said, "I'll give you a $24,000 signing bonus if you sign right now." And I'm like, $24,000. Hold that thought. I'm no dummy. I walk back over to the Marine. I said, "Hey, what's your signing bonus?" This man stands up again, right? Puffs his chest out, and he goes, "Honor, duty, respect." And I'm like, awesome. They got that on the wall over there, too. I'm just saying, like, cash money. And this guy goes, "There's no money here." And I was like, what idiot would join that branch of service? Marines. And they are dumb. But don't tell them my jokes. They'll never get them. You know what I'm saying? It's a real bless your heart situation with that. So I joined the Army. $24,000. You know where that money's at today? Me neither. But I go to basic training, right? So I go to basic training. I go to Airborne school. I learn how to jump out of airplanes. People always think that's really cool. It turns out it's actually just gravity. Legit. You come out of the airplane, you're going to land. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. But then I made it to Fort Bragg, home of the 82nd Airborne Division, the greatest division ever known to mankind. And when I got to my unit, we were deploying. So 6 months after I got there, we went overseas. And I deployed to Afghanistan for a 15-month deployment. And here I was, right? I was in Afghanistan. I started lifting weights 3 hours a day. I had 26-inch biceps. Maybe they were 23. I don't remember. But anyways, I was overseas working out, and I had a medic named Josh Buck, and me and him went everywhere together. I worked for a colonel, and I was like his personal security detachment, so like everywhere he went, I was there. And at 19 years old, they gave me my own truck. They're like, "Hey, you're infantry, here's your truck." I had a gunner and a driver. I was telling him what to do or whatever. But I had this medic that would ride in my truck and hang out with me. And I talked to him all the time. And I knew everything about this guy, right? Josh Buck, he's from Texas. He works on a ranch in the summers. He's married. He has his daughter on the way. And I knew everything about this guy. But he goes home in late September of 2007 on his leave. And while he's at home, I got a MySpace friend request, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. And this picture pops up, right? I mean, talking cowgirl hat, brown blouse, jean skirt. And I'm like, dating site. I don't know her. It's just spam. And I go hit decline. Before I hit decline, I read the name. And she had the same last name as my medic. And I'm like, wait a second. There could be something here. And I put on my Sherlock Holmes style super sleuth hat, you know. I had one of those just laying around. I did a little bit of investigation and found out my medic told me everything about himself, but one key factor. He had an 18-year-old sister in college. He didn't tell me that. The nerve of that man. But luckily for me, she thinks I'm cute. I mean, 6'3", 275 pounds. I might have found some supplements in Germany, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. So she sent this MySpace friend request. I'm at quite the crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. Real conundrum, if you will. Do I hit accept and upset my friend, or hit decline and respect his friendship? There's one thing in life I'm like super good at. It's actually antagonizing people. Let me give, for instance, like when I was injured in Afghanistan, my mom was next to my bedside like a week or two after. I said, "Mom, why'd this happen?" And she looked at me and she's like, "Well, you know, karma." So the shoe fits. No, No, I'm kidding. So I hit accept. I start chit-chatting with this lovely young lady, right? She's 18 in Texas. I'm 20 in Afghanistan. We hit it off. And all of a sudden, we're like, hey, we should probably hang out. I get 18 days of R&R coming up, right? Where do you want to go? Should I come to Texas, right? Should we go to Michigan? And we kept going back and forth, and the only logical thing was we should probably book a week-long trip to Cozumel, Mexico. So we did that, and I flew into Dallas to pick her up, right? And I knock on her mom and dad's door at their house, and her dad answers the door. His knees are trembling. He's looking up at me. He's like, please don't hurt me, sir, you know. And I didn't. I'm like, I'm not going to hurt you, buddy. I gave him a noogie, so we knew we were friends. I'm not going to hurt you, buddy. And he thanked me, you know. He said, thank you, sir. And I said, now get out of here. And I smacked him on the butt. Pow! And away he went. And that's not what happened. It's probably important you guys know my father-in-law is my right-hand man, you know, because I need one now. And he's over there running the slideshow for me. Craig, raise your hand. And he didn't kill me. He could have, but he didn't. So anyways, we go out to Mexico for a week, right? We go back to Michigan for a week. Everything's going great. We're saying our goodbyes at the airport. And she's got these crocodile tears just streaming down her face. And it's a real ugly cry. You don't want to look at, but you have to. You know what I'm saying? And in between her sobs, she's like, I love you. And I'm like, I love you too. Because in that situation, that's what you say. You know what I'm saying? At the airport with your girlfriend you met 2 weeks ago. Not going to lose her over that, you know. And then in between her sighs and her sobs, as her tears are starting to dry up a little bit, she goes, I want to marry you. Oh, I thought about it for a second, you know. And I was like, I'm going back to Afghanistan. That can't hurt. I said, I want to marry you too. Oh my gosh, the tears were gone. Biggest smile came across her face. In the Atlanta airport, there was 3 birds chirping the most beautiful song you've ever heard, right? 2 rainbows across the sky. A unicorn actually ran out of the terminal. It was wild. I mean, majestic. We say our goodbyes. I'm strutting my stuff back to my airplane, feeling pretty good about my verbal jiu-jitsu. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I get on my airplane. I fly back to Afghanistan. And 3 days later, I get back to my base. I give her a phone call. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, my gosh, Travis, guess what? And I'm like, I've been on an airplane. I don't know what's going on. And she said, the wedding's planned. And I went, oh. Right. That makes, per our last conversation, that actually made sense. You know what I'm saying? Words matter. So I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? So I call her dad, make sure he's cool with it. Hey, can I marry your daughter? He's like, yeah, no problem. Airify through the phone. Go to Zales.com, buy her a ring. You know, she needs one of those. And then ship it to her in the mail. Very romantic of me, I know. I come back, we get married, have a big wedding. Then we go back to Fort Bragg after we get married, and we get an apartment, and we get a dog. And ladies and gentlemen, I take every chance I can to brag about my dog, because everybody's always like, Travis, you want a service dog? I'm like, no, I have a dog. And they're like, yeah, but don't you want a dog that listens? And I'm like, what? And I take personal offense to that, right? I got my dog. He's got a unique name. It's Buddy. I know. Yellow lab named Buddy, never heard of it. But I look at my dog sometimes, and I show my tricks off, me and him have. I look at my friends and say, watch this. I say, Buddy, sit when you want. And eventually that dog sits down, you know what I'm saying? He'll start barking. I'm like, stop barking when you feel like it. He used to run off into the woods. We live on 20 acres in Maine, and he used to run off in the woods, and I'd call for him. He'd look back at me and kind of just like shake it off, you know, like just walk into the woods. No, I'm not going to chase him. So I put an invisible fence in. Oh, I got him. And people wonder, like, what do you do when you have a bad day, when you want to relieve stress? What do you do, Trav? And I'm like, I throw the ball over the fence. I'm kidding. I can't throw. Come on. I got a pitching machine. But anyways, so we get married. We get an apartment. I get to hang out for a bit. I go back to Afghanistan for a year, right? I deploy again in 2009, 2010 for a year. And, you know, a lot more action this time. Firefights here and there. Got some pretty good mix-ups with the Taliban. I took 4 showers in 1 year, only because how we were living. Not because I wanted that, but we were living in the middle of nowhere, taking bases, or taking compounds from the Taliban, turning them over to people to backfill, and we'd go take more. And towards the end of my deployment, I called my wife up. You know, we got to call about once a week, once every other week. I gave her a phone call. And I was like, hey, what's going on today? And she goes, oh my gosh, Travis, guess what? And red flags, right? Last time I got married, I did not see that coming. And I said, I don't know what. And she said, I bought a house today. And I went, oh, that's awesome. And I was like thinking about it. And I was like, how did you buy a house today? Like, you're in college with no income. And she said, do you remember that power of attorney that you signed? And I said, you mean the one for banking, right? She goes, no, it's for everything. And she said, well, if I'm being honest, Travis, you bought a house today. No, I had re-enlisted on that deployment. I loved the military. I really enjoyed my job. I was good at it. And I re-enlisted overseas, and my wife and I bought a house down the road from my brother-in-law and his wife. And we signed paperwork when I was overseas, so she was able to take care of it. And I came back from that deployment to my new house with my wife. And 4 months after I got back, our daughter was born. Or, I mean, no, that math don't work. If I'm being honest, some guys it did, but for me it didn't. So, no, like they were on, anyway. So I got back 4 months after that. We found out we were going to have a baby, and 9 months after that, my daughter was born. And that takes us back to the picture I started off with, right? The picture of everything in my life is going well. Bought a house, right? Got promoted to staff sergeant, and had my daughter, Chloe. And then I had orders taking me to Fort Hood, Texas. The Army was redeploying my unit back to Afghanistan. And the big Army said, you know what, Sergeant Mills, you have over 2 years of combat experience in a short amount of time. You can take this one off. We're going to send you to Fort Hood. We got a new brigade we're standing up. We want you to go there as a combat non-commissioned officer. We want you to help build that up. And it sounds great, right? It's like, oh, cool, I can take this one off. But in reality, it's not. Out of 40 guys in my platoon, I was the third highest ranking non-commissioned officer. At 24 years old, I was the senior leading squad leader of the weapons squad, and I had these guys that came from all across this nation of ours that believed in me. They were my men, my brothers in arms. And my wife understood that, and this was a 9-month deployment, a quick hitter. And I said, you know what, there's no way I can do this. My wife understood that. So I went to my sergeant major, and I got my orders canceled so I could deploy again to Afghanistan, because I had to go. So in February of 2012, I went overseas again for my third trip. I got there, first day in country, we got in just a massive firefight with the Taliban, first day. And we were ripping machine guns, and there was RPGs and mortars coming at us and everything. We were trapped in a dry riverbed. One of the units, one of the squads, I had to run out and get a guy and bring him back. And that was the first day in country. The second day was another day just like it. The third, just like it. My unit overseas in my third deployment equated for 80% of the combat fighting that was done in that deployment. And to be honest with you, because I was in charge of the 2 biggest machine guns on the battlefield, my guys were good at their job. And the Taliban decided, instead of trying to get the guys in the villages and get the guys going on patrols inside the towns and everywhere, they wanted to get us. Because every time we got shot at, we would control the battlefield. So they started putting bombs everywhere. And on April 10th of 2012, we got a phone call from a village elder. And he asked us to come out in the village. So we started to throw our gear on, talk about what we're going to do, where we're going to go, how we're going to do things. And every time we patrolled, we always had a guy out front with a minesweeper. He'd sweep the ground with a ground-penetrating radiation to see if there's anything underneath it. Everything was marked clear. I took my backpack off, and I came to a short halt. My backpack landed on top of an IED, roadside bomb. Instantly took my right arm, right leg off. I got thrown on the left side of my face, and I rolled over my back, and I saw the aftermath of what happened. My right side was completely gone. My left side was blown out at the knee, and I had muscle and tendon holding it on. And my left arm was blown out at the wrist. But I still had used my thumb, index, and middle finger. The other 2 were mangled up. So I hit the ground, I rolled over, I saw all this, and within seconds, my medic was on me and my platoon sergeant was on me. And they started putting tourniquets on me. And I look up at my medic and I say, hey, doc, you're not going to save me. Go save my guys. I was not suicidal. I just saw a lot of injuries in Afghanistan that were a lot less and thought, you're not going to save me. Don't waste your time. And in my head, I kept seeing the movie Saving Private Ryan, because the scene where the medic gets shot in the stomach always stuck with me. He gets shot in the stomach, realizes he's going to die, and when he realizes he's going to die, he begs for his mom and begs for his life. And I told myself, I'll never be that guy. Whatever happens is going to happen. So I keep myself calm. I don't want my last memories of my guys to have me crying out for my life. And I just tell myself, stay calm. Whatever happens is going to happen. So my medic, I say, hey, go save my guys. You're not going to fix this. He ignores me. Keeps working on me. Within 30 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that, tourniquets on my right side. My platoon sergeant, tourniquets on my left side. While they're working on me, I don't know what to do with myself. So I reach up to my trucker mic on my chest, And I called my lieutenant. I said, hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured. I need your medic with mine. He sends Doc Voice over. Doc Voice works on the other 2 guys that got hit, Brandon and Ryan. Then he works on me. And when he's working on me, the injuries are pretty bad. And as he's working on me, he's stuck in auto repeat because he's supposed to keep the patient calm. That's his training, right? You always rely on your training. So he kept saying on repeat, you're going to be fine, Sergeant Mills, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine, Sergeant Mills, you're going to be okay. And I said, hey, Doc, just do your job. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Do your job. It's okay. They got me bandaged up, got a sternum IV in me, got me on a helicopter. And on the way to the helicopter, I said, guys, thank you for everything you guys just did. Whatever happens, don't worry about it. I get on the helicopter. I fly to Kandahar Hospital. I get to the hospital. They push me down the hallway to surgery. And on the way to surgery, I kept sitting up. I kept getting to my elbow and trying to sit up. And once I'd get sat up, a nurse would push me down, hit my chest and push me down. And the third time she pushed me down, I looked at her and said, hey, quit touching me, I'm fine. Like, leave me alone. I said, I just got to get back to my guys. And the nurse said, Sergeant Mills, I don't know how you're still awake right now, but you need to go to sleep. And she started pushing fluids into me and knocked me out. And that's when I realized I was losing control of the situation. My consciousness was fading. And I looked at that nurse and I said, my little girl, am I ever going to see her again? Because she was 6 months old at the time of my injury. Last thing I said, and I faded out. And then, ladies and gentlemen, 9 doctors and 7 nurses worked on me for 14 hours straight. 2 nurses took turns, just like you see on TV, pumping the air in and out of my lungs. There was over 400 units of blood given to me that day. People were rushing to the doors of the hospital, and the nurses and doctors and the staff in the operating room were giving me blood from their veins if it was A positive universal blood, because they ran out of blood that day in the blood bank of A positive universal. People were rushing to give it to me. And after the 14 hours, I was stable but critical. And while this was all going on, my brother-in-law, Josh, got the phone call about what happened. They said, hey, Travis got hit today. We need you to fly into Kandahar. He's probably not going to make it. And that's pretty typical, because before you deploy, every deployment I went on, I filled out paperwork called a Blue Book in the Army. And the questions are, where you want to be buried at, what music plays, what's in your coffin with you, what kind of ceremony, who escorts your body home if you're injured, or if you're killed. You plan your funeral out. It's the most morbid thing I've ever done. I had to do it 3 times. But I always put Josh, and Josh always put me for the escort back home to the family. So they flew him into Kandahar, but they got me stable but critical. And at the time, I was a triple amputee. Both legs and my right arm were gone. 2 days after that, on April 12th, they flew us to Bagram, Afghanistan. And in Bagram, they had to cut my left hand off. They realized the skin had necrotized, it had died. They cut it off. I became a quadruple amputee. 2 days after that, they flew Josh and I to Landstuhl, Germany. When we got to Landstuhl, Germany, they woke me up from medical sedation. They woke me up from my medical sedation and let me come to. And when I finally opened my eyes and came to, the only person in the room was my brother-in-law. And I looked over at Josh, and the first thing I said was, my soldiers, how are my soldiers? And he told me, Ryan's here in Kandahar, Ryan's here in Landstuhl, Germany with us. Brandon is back in Kandahar. He said, Ryan's going to make it, though. He's going to be fine. He'll heal right up. I said, all right. And I said, hey, am I paralyzed? And he said, no. I said, Josh, I can't feel my fingers and toes. Like, tell me the truth, man. Am I paralyzed? And he said, you're not paralyzed, but you don't have them anymore. He just told me straight, didn't want to sugarcoat it. And I said, oh. And then for 3 hours, I ignored everybody, the doctors and nurses, Josh. They all had questions for me. Every time they'd ask me a question to get my line of sight, I'd look the other way at the ceiling. I mean, I had my own questions, right? Like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in life to deserve this? Bigger one that swirled around was, how can I still be a husband and a father? And the biggest one on repeat was, why didn't I just die? How is this going to be better for anybody? I'm going to be a burden on my family now. But after 3 hours of ignoring everybody, Josh chimes in, hey man, I'm not going to pretend like I know what you're going through, because I don't, but you got to call your wife and your parents. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I had him call up Kelsey. He put the phone in my ear, and when she answered, I said, hey, what's up? I'm fine. Love you, bye. I had him hang the phone up. I didn't want to have a conversation with her. My mom and dad, about the same thing happened. And before my mom and dad hung the phone up, my mom yelled through the phone, hey, Travis, happy birthday, because it was my 25th birthday that day. 3 days after that, I made it back to Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland, and as they rolled me from the truck towards the hospital, my wife came running towards me, coming to see me, her and my daughter on her hip. And before she got to me, the doctor stopped her and said, Mrs. Mills, we have a problem. Your husband's right leg is ripped open. His sutures have split, and we have to cut 2 inches off his right leg, or he will bleed out and die. But we need your signature, because you are now in charge of his medical care. So they gave her a clipboard. She got nervous, was all, stressed out, didn't know what to do, and I yelled through the sea of doctors and nurses, Kelsey, it's fine. Just sign it. It'll be okay. So she signs it. Before she sees me, they take me into surgery. Cut my right leg off higher, stitch me up. And the next day, she comes in the room on the 18th. And I see my wife, and I talk with her. And before she could say anything, I said, hey, you don't have to do this. This isn't what I'd pick for you. This is not what we had planned for our life. You can take the house and the cars and any money saved up, it's all yours. Not that we had a lot, but it's all yours. And financially, whatever you and Chloe will need for as long as I'm alive, you will have. But I don't want to be a burden in your life. And you can go. I mean, that's a lot of stress put on a 23-year-old with a 6-month-old baby. Now a husband that is literally a baby of his own. I can't feed myself. I can't use the bathroom by myself. I can't dress myself. And I'm giving her the out. You can go. No hard feelings. I get it. But without hesitation or pause, she's like, nah, we'll get through this together. We got this. And ladies and gentlemen, I get to go around this wonderful nation and talk about how I got better, because I was fortunate to live through my injuries, right? My wife said she's going to stay by my side. That's my one motivating factor. The second motivating factor, my daughter comes in. My little girl, Chloe, comes in, lays on my chest. And I think she's going to be so afraid of me. And look at me, right? I got PICC line coming out of my neck, sticky things all over my chest, move back machines in my legs. I'm looking rough. I lost 110 pounds in those 7 days. I went from 250 down to 140 pounds. And when she comes in, I'm like so worried and worked up and nervous that she's going to be afraid of me, that she's going to think I'm a monster, that she's going to scream and cry and try to get away from me. And she lays on my chest, and she laughs, and she giggles, and she actually ends up playing with my nose. And I'm like, how's this little girl not afraid of me? And then it hit me, right? Hit me. It just dawns on me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I look like every single toy she's actually ever been given. I got short arms, right? Short legs. I got a fuzzy chest. I'm a teddy bear. But for her, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get better. But how am I going to do it? Well, 3 or 4 weeks after my injury, I had a visitor, and this guy walked in, right? No arms, no legs, with his fake prosthetics. He walks in the room, and the first thing he says was, hey man, welcome to the club. I said, I don't want to be in your club. He said, well, kind of late now, don't you think? I said, I guess so. And he said, man, my name's Todd Nicely from Missouri. I'm the second ever quadruple amputee, and you're the fourth. I saw your story, and I had to come tell you a few things. You're not a bad person. God does not hate you. Did nothing wrong in life, and you will be fine. You will walk, drive, feed yourself, have a hand to dress yourself, and do everything you think you can't do right now at this point. He said, I know because I've been there. And I recovered right here. It's the best place for you. He was a retired Marine corporal from back in, I think, 2010. And I looked at him, and after he told me all that stuff, and I got to see it, living proof of what's possible. 2 things that day went through my head. Number 1, I'm not alone in this. And number 2, recovery is probably going to be super easy. I mean, because he's a Marine, he figured it out. You know what I'm saying? How hard can it be? But so, after having my wife, my daughter, and my family on my side, and meeting Todd and all the people at Walter Reed, I decided it was time to get better. So the first thing I had to do was start working out, right? And the first workout I ever did was working my balance. I lost so much weight and so much muscle mass, I couldn't roll over or sit up. So I had to hit a balloon and balance sitting up. As I got stronger through the week or 2 after, I was using the machines to lift weights and to get my core strength back. And then finally, I got the chance to put on a hand for the first time. 5 weeks into my injury, I grabbed and drank a Gatorade by myself. I went to the Fisher House my parents were staying. I fed myself 5 weeks into my recovery. And then I was able to help around with feeding my daughter and things like that. So 5 weeks into my injury, I had the chance to use my hand. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the most important hand that I own is not this one on my hand. No, no, no. The most important hand that I own is this one on the screen. This one is called a Greifer. This hand sits in a Crown Royal bag on the top shelf of my closet. You see, this hand is most important because it closes 25 pounds of pressure. Then I can close it again at 35 pounds of pressure. And why is that important? Because I have a 12-year-old little girl. And when she goes on her first date, that hand's coming out to party. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you the scenario, right? Here comes Johnny over. He's like, oh my gosh, can you pick Chloe up, dude? And I'm like, don't call me dude, we're not on that level. The hand's on, right? And I crunch his hand, 25 pounds of pressure. He's like, bro, that hurts. Again, we're not that kind of friend. 35 pounds of pressure. I break his hand. And as Johnny's like, let me go. I'm like, no. I pull him in closer. Guess what, Johnny? He's like, I don't know what. I say, no fingerprints, bro. Now get out of my house. All right, so this is the interaction, or this is the interactive part of my presentation. I need a volunteer named Connor. If he can come on stage real quick. Connor, come on up here. Yeah, come on up here, buddy. You're doing so good. Come here, high school. You got legs. I mean, get a little, you know what I'm saying? We're all waiting on? No, I'm just kidding. Hey, did they tell you you're going to help me out today?
They did not.
Oh, it's not fun, right? Are you nervous? That's a nice color blush you got on. When did you put that on? It's very red. All right, so how my hand works, ladies and gentlemen, is off muscle flexes in my forearm. So make a fist, other hand though, and I want you to put your arm like this. I want you to rev the engine on a moped. I knew he rode mopeds. You could just tell that this dude kicks it on a Vespa. I don't blame you. I used to do it too. So how that works is off muscle flex. So make a fist, rev the hand, like rev it up. All right, see that muscle, feel that muscle flex right there? All right, see that little circle in my arm, the little hole pointing out to the crowd? A little hole right there. It tickles, quit it. So it's a topical sensor. So it reads how fast and slow I twitch my muscle. So flex the hand up, rev the engine on a moped slow. Like rev the engine slow. I can't tell how fast, I can't hear it, Connor, I'll be honest with you. I can't tell how fast you're going. There it is, okay. When I flex my hand slow, or my muscle slow, it opens. Now, hammer down that Vespa, get after it, just really rev it. No, get after it. No, there it is, there it is. When you flex the muscle fast, it rotates around to the left. Keep going until I stop flexing my muscle, right? Now, flex your hand down. All right, muscle down here, feel that? All right, right there, point the hole out to everybody, the little topical sensor. Down slow, down fast. So it's how fast I twitch that muscle. Now, dumbest thing ever is all the experiments the government does, and they gave me voice-activated technology, which makes literally no sense, but they want me and Taylor Morris, a quad from Iowa, and actually Todd Nicely to try this out. So we can say open, close, turn, and stop. It makes literally no sense, but check this out. Blue lights came on, right? So now I can say open, close. It will close with 3 pounds of pressure. Then I say turn, it only goes to the left. I say the magic word of stop, and it will magically stop. Stop. This is so, I don't know why they do this. Okay, whatever, this is embarrassing. Stop. Okay, the problem is, say he's upset with me. Say Connor's mad, I called him high school, and I had him rev an engine on this, up here, right? And all of a sudden, he's at a party I'm at, and I'm holding a margarita. You know what I'm saying? We're getting our tequila on. What? He sees me. He's like, hey, Travis. I'm like, yeah, what's up, Connor? He's like, hey, man, open the window. There's no window there. You just dropped my drink on purpose. Why would you do that, Connor?
You made me say
Go ahead.
hi to everybody.
Go ahead, give it say close.
Close.
A little bit closer.
Close.
No. It's baritone soprano bass, so like a man, like sound like a man.
Close.
That's close. Like close. Like
close.
Think Batman, but like masculine.
Close.
Like turn.
Close.
No, don't whisper. Everybody wants
Close.
you. Hold on. Everybody wants you to get this. This is embarrassing. Try turn. Like turn.
Turn.
Like turn.
Turn.
No, listen to me. Turn like that.
Turn.
No, like turn.
Turn.
All right, try close.
Close.
I'm saying it too. Have you noticed I'm saying it?
Stop saying it.
It's not voice activated. That's a lie. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a round. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks. Give him a round of applause, my band of white. All right, so topical sensors only. It's not voice activated. It's just a good joke. Then I started walking, right? So 7 weeks and 4 days, just shy of 2 months. I put my legs on for the very first time at Walter Reed, and I started to walk around the Military Advanced Training Center track that they have. It's like maybe a third of this room. And as I got stronger, I got to grow in my leg size. And then I got taller legs. I had to work on like going up and down ramps and working on going outside. And then finally, I got the chance to wear the legs that I'm wearing now. After working out and being a mentor and helping people and them helping me and push me forward with my workouts, I got the ones I'm wearing now. The ones I'm wearing now are called X3s. And my X3s are pretty cool. They're waterproof. They're Bluetooth. When I drive my vehicle, I have a little remote that locks my legs to a 25-degree angle, and I drive like my truck like everybody else drives with the right foot. And then they have hydraulic brakes built in them, so when I go down like ramps, I don't go bowling for people. And every now and then I fly and someone cuts me off and I'm like, I'm jetway going like, you done messed up, bow. And I take them out. And they're little microprocessors, so I get the chance to charge them once every 5 days with little computers in there. But by the end of my training, like you just saw there, I was running. You know what I mean? Forrest Gump style, get me. But I have my legs and they're really cool. I'm very fortunate to have those. During my recovery, when I met Todd Nicely, he brought in 4 firemen from New York City. They were part of the Tunnel Towers Foundation, and they wanted me to come out to New York City and be part of their 5K. And I said, yeah, I'm going to walk it. And they said, well, you probably won't even have legs yet, so we'll push you. But I went up there determined to walk it. I had my legs, and I strapped my legs on, and I started to walk this 5K. And I was thinking, let me just see how far I can get. So as I was walking this 5K, going down the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, I was saying, let me just see how far I can go, right? So I get into the tunnel. All of a sudden, my back's starting to hurt a little bit. My leg's starting to get rubbed pretty raw. And I'm thinking, man, when I come out of this tunnel, I'm going to sit down, right? I've already done enough. I'm going to sit down for the last mile. But when I came out, to my left and my right, there's 343 first responders with names and banners of the 343 first responders that died in 9/11. And I thought, man, if those brave men and women could, perish in the ruin and the rubble, I should be able to give everything and walk this 5K and finish it. So I finished it up. My right leg was bleeding, and my back was killing me. I was drenched in sweat. But afterwards, I got invited up on stage. And this room seems like you guys would know. You guys know who Gary Sinise is? I won't make it weird, but he's a personal friend of mine. I could call him right now. I just want you guys to know that about me. For cool points. At the bar. We'll call him later today. We'll see what he's up to. But I get invited up on stage. He has a band called Lieutenant Dan Band. And he goes around and does concerts and whatnot. And he invites me up on stage. And as I'm up on stage, like 20,000 people deep cheering. And I'm like waving at the crowd. My pain's going away. I'm really feeling the crowd. And across the stage is actually a cord. And when my toe catches the cord, down I go. And the whole crowd goes, oh. Real embarrassing. But on stage, ladies and gentlemen, there was a 6'7", just knight in shining armor named Brian. And this man picks me up under my armpits like a rag doll in front of everybody, like, whoop, like up I go. Crowd goes wild. Brian has no idea how my legs work, though. He sets me down abruptly. You know what happens? Down I go. Yeah. Yeah, pretty embarrassing. The whole crowd, once again, oh. Luckily, though, Brian's a very determined man. He picks me up again under the armpits. Whoop, up I go. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, cool. He sets me down softer and gentle. And my wife's like running around me in a half circle, like, don't drop him, don't drop him. He sets me down. I get my crutch set, my legs set. Brian's like, are you good? I'm like, Brian, I'm good. Brian backs up. Crowd goes wild. And this ogre comes in with his big bear paw. He's like, hey, man, we did it. Smacks me on the back. Down I go. The whole crowd, they did turn. I'll be honest with you, they turned. They started yelling mercy. And I stood up by myself this time, and I yelled freedom. So it was a real Braveheart moment, but whatever. So I walked a 5K. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been able to do a lot of cool things, right? I learned how to do horseback riding, kayaking. I went skydiving. I did snowboarding. I learned how to drive, which, by the way, if you guys come to the great state of Maine where I live at, people are like, why do you live in Maine if you're from Michigan and your wife's from Texas? Originally, she's from Maine. And when I said, hey, let's go to Michigan, she said no. And then I said it one more time, and she took my arm off, and she hit me with it and kept saying, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. So I agreed to go to Maine, and that's how I got there. But, and then the bottom right picture is pretty cool, like the downhill mountain biking I did. They strapped me into this four-wheel bike in Colorado on Mount Crested Butte. They took me up a 9,000-foot mountain. And when I say strap me, I mean like duct tape my prosthetics to the handlebars, cinch me down to the seat, right, and put a helmet on me. I said, now what? And they said, don't die. And I went, what? And they just whoosh, pushed me down the mountain. But through my recovery, I was able to do a lot of cool stuff, right? I got to go on these trips and all that. And when I was on these trips, my wife got to go. And on these trips, my wife and I got to heal together. You see, the military was sending me so I understood that I still had a place with adaptive sports. I could still do things with my family. And because of my injuries, I needed a non-medical assistant to go. So my wife got to go and enjoy all these highs with me and experience all these activities, unlike some of the service members. So we were able to do that. Clear for me, Craig. And you know what? My wife and I, when I was at the hospital, thought, man, we should do something to give back. Right? We can always do a little more to give back. I lost my chance to serve my country. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it like I did. I lost my chance to serve my country with this injury, but I had a chance to still serve people. So we thought we'd start a nonprofit for care packages, and we both decided we'd do the Travis Mills Foundation. We gave $5,000 for care packages to my buddies and their new units overseas. But then we went on these cool trips, and we realized it's all about the family. That's how I healed. I had my wife, my daughter by my side. So we decided to bring some families out to Maine. Brought these families out. You got Josh Wetzel from Auburn, Alabama in the orange shirt. You got Andrew Smith from Chattanooga, Tennessee in the blue shirt. You got myself, my buddy Taylor, both quad amputees. He's the fifth and final. Hope it stays that way. And then you got a guy show up at the door, like knocking on it. And we're like, yeah, can we help you? And he goes, hey, can I come in? And we're like, no. He goes, yeah, but I'm missing a leg. And we're like, no one cares about your paper cut. Like, go home. Nah, his name's Drew Mully, great dude. And him and his wife came, and all these families came out. And we decided that we wanted to keep this going. It went so well, we bought a place. We bought Elizabeth Arden's old estate. She built in 1929. It was in really bad disrepair when we bought it. But we went ahead without any real funding and just trudged through. And we went ahead and renovated for 2 years and opened the doors officially to the Travis Mills Foundation Veterans Retreat in 2017. And what we do there is to bring out combat and service-connected injured veterans with physical injuries, and we show them how to do things adaptively as a family unit. Look at Craigie in the video. And as these families come out, we are able to show them that no matter what happens in life, we're here for them. We also have a new building that we built that helps us run all through the winter up in Maine. So we have indoor pool and fitness center, and we encourage everybody to live life off the sidelines. No matter what happened to you overseas or stateside physically with amputation, paralyzation, spinal cord, whatever, we're here for you to understand that life goes on and to live out our slogan of never give up, never quit. You guys might have seen my story on Maine Cabin Masters or Lester Holt's Nightly News or Fox News or whatever, but we run all year round, and we give these families a chance to bond, reconnect, and recharge and understand life's not over. The coolest thing is when kids are saying it's better than Disney World, right? When they're leaving saying this is better than Disney World. We have service members that will feel comfortable to open up and to try and do new things that they thought was never possible. And one of the best conversations I was able to be a part of was when a spouse told another spouse that this is the first time she saw her husband act like the man that she married. And it was cool because like he opened up out of his shell, but then you find out he was deployed 5 years ago. And he wasn't himself for 5 years. But we do all this, and it's free to the service member and their family, and we let them know that we're here for them and to always live life off the sidelines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this crowd, you might not know somebody like me, missing arms and legs or in a wheelchair because of something happened while they were in the military. But if you have a loved one that's a first responder or a combat veteran, we have a new program we partner with called Warrior Path. And it is one of the premier spots for post-traumatic stress. And it's free. It's free to whoever signs up for it. So if you have a first responder in your family, or you have a combat veteran suffering, you know, part of the 22 a day that the chef was talking about, that he does all the push-ups for, send them to the travismillsfoundation.org website. Have them sign up for the Warrior Path program, and we will help them any way we can. That's what we're here for. We're here to give back and help, and it's no cost to the veteran or the first responder. All right, with that, Craig, go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, I take life every day as an opportunity. One night, I was talking to my buddy. I just got offered to buy a marina. My wife said, don't you buy this marina? And we drank whiskey, so we bought a marina. So I own a marina now. If you guys ever want to come up and boat around Maine on my marina. But we also, my wife and I, decided with some friends to open a restaurant. I do speaking, travel around the nation. And I take every opportunity I have because I was given that chance to keep going forward. I also am fortunate to have, click for me, Craig. I have not one but two books out now. The first one's a New York Times bestseller. The second one just came out 2 months ago called Bounce Back, and very proud of how it's going. It has people's stories in there. It talks about how we can all have a positive mindset no matter what. And the most important principle of the 12 I put in there is stop asking why. I had to stop asking why this happened. I had to stop reliving the injury and understand that, you know what, it did happen. I can accept it. I can still dwell on it every now, or not dwell on it, I can still think about it every now and then, but I had to accept it and I had to move on because nothing was going to change if I kept asking why. And if you guys know who Jocko Willink is, the podcast, Navy SEAL guy, we do jiu-jitsu. I tap him out, so whatever, so you guys should know. On top of that, if you guys have Max or Discovery Plus, I have a documentary that Chip and Joanna Gaines did for Magnolia Network. It's called Hi, I'm Travis. Real dumb story. It came out on Veterans Day 2 years ago. And when it came out, I was sitting there telling somebody about it. I was like, oh my God, documentary came out today. It was on Veterans Day, the day it came out. They're like, what's it called? I'm like, I can't remember. It's Hi, I'm Travis. So what's up if you guys want to check it out. But, ladies and gentlemen, click it for me, Craig. So here's the thing. Life's all about one thing. And here's a real the real meat and potatoes. People wonder if I tell jokes and it's a facade and I do this because I get paid to do it. And the truth is, I'm one of the lucky ones. I am this guy because I realize that life is about perspective. On the screen here now, you'll see Brandon Goodine and Francis Jean Phillips IV. Brandon Goodine was a 19-year-old private, stepped on a bomb, a triple amputee. They put him on a stretcher, took him towards the helicopter, and they hit another bomb. And Brandon Goodine lost his life that day. He had a seven-month-old little girl at home. She only knows stories and pictures of her father. Francis Jean Phillips IV was one of my absolute best friends. 2 deployments. Me, him, and our buddy Justin were inseparable. And on his 3rd deployment, his truck hit a bomb, and everybody in the truck that day died. Left behind his 4-year-old daughter, his wonderful wife, Christine, his family and friends. And I talked to his family still. His mom would give anything for one more conversation, one more phone call. His wife would give anything to have in my situation. His daughter would love a daddy-daughter dance. They'll never have that opportunity. I don't tell you that to make you sad or angry or upset. I tell you that because their sacrifice means the world to me. I keep pushing forward every day because I realize the price I could have paid. I talk to my daughter today. I talk to my wife like 4 times a day. I talk to my parents every day. I'm able to be here and keep pushing forward. That's why I live up the slogan of never give up, never quit. I also got the chance to meet 6 of the 9 doctors that worked on me, 4 of them here on stage. And before I went out to see them in California, they kept asking, is he mad? Is Travis upset? He kept asking my team, like, is he angry about this? And I finally broke down and said, thank you for making it possible for me to live. If they would loosened up 1 tourniquet, I would have bled out in maybe a minute, maybe 2. They gave me blood from their veins to keep me alive. So I live every day to the fullest. I do everything I can. And the thing I want to tell you guys, click for me, Craig, is the 2 life lessons I live by, right, that every day I remind myself of is, number 1, don't dwell on the past, reminisce it. I used to sit in my hospital bed, and I would hope and I wish and I pray this never happened. I close my eyes and I think, when I open my eyes, this nightmare is going to be over. And every time I opened my eyes, I was still there, in the hospital bed with no arms and no legs. So I learned early on, instead of dwelling on what happened, I'm just going to reminisce. I had 25 amazing years with arms and legs. I had 1 bad day, and then I've had, this April will make 12 years without. The next thing I tell everybody is, you know what? You can't always control your situation, but you can always control your attitude. My situation doesn't change. When I'm at my house in Maine, I wake up in my bed. I jump from my bed to my wheelchair. I grab my arm off the charger. I go and I make coffee. I set my wife's coffee up. She wakes up. And then Chloe wakes up, and everybody goes about their day because I'm in control of my attitude. And we make the best out of it because I was able to live through my injuries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after this, I know people got to catch flights and go home, but if you guys want to hang out and talk to me and ask questions, I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys to come say hey, and I'm going to start you guys off, okay? I know you guys are wondering. And I want you guys to know nothing's going to embarrass me or bother me if you have questions, so let me just get right to it. Still got it. Still works. And that's proof. That's my son, Dax. I have a 6-year-old little boy. He's a champion. He's named after the medics Daniel and Alexander, so his name's Dax, because they made it possible for me to have a kid. And my wife and I are so fortunate to, live the life that we do, to have the children and to keep going forward. And I'll tell you what, the only gripe I got about my son is that he's a mama's boy. And you can't be too upset about that because it's hereditary, because I'm a mama's boy. But so happy to have him in my life and the chance to be to be here with him and my wife and my daughter. And we go about life every day. But ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I want you guys to know that sometimes life's not going to go like you want. Sometimes it's going to throw you a curveball. And it's going to be hard, and you're going to struggle with things. But if you can remember to always push forward and to live out the slogan of never give up, never quit, it'll be a better day. Thank you for your time, guys. Have a wonderful trip home, and thank you for having me. All right.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it. Heck yeah. Appreciate everyone coming out this year. Safe travels home. We're going to do it again next year, so seeing some new faces and some returning. So I appreciate everyone. Thanks for your time. Have a good new year. Thanks.